Hello and welcome back to the chaos that is Shani and books. Today I am going to be talking about some books that I should have spoken about like 6 months ago. If you did not know, I had been running a book club called the Baby Chaos Book Club, intended to be only a baby bit of chaos. This year it was quite chaotic because I, in the second half of the year, was depressed. I'm in therapy now. I'm going a bit better. I mean, I had been doing live shows, but I haven't been doing them the second half of the year. And I don't know whether I will do this moving forward next year, but definitely for all the remaining books of 2024, which is all of them, I am not going to be doing live shows. I did try and schedule one like a month ago. I scheduled it. I was like, okay, just don't worry. Even if it's last minute and no one can make it, I'm just going to do it so it's done. And then right after I scheduled it, my son started throwing up. So then he was sick. And I was like, the universe just doesn't want me to do this live show. So I have seen one of my friends, Jen, runs a book club and she stopped doing live shows. She does like a spoilery discussion video on YouTube. So I figured that I would also do that. It's just easier for me because then I can record whenever I want and then upload it. And people don't have to worry about making it for the live. I don't know. So for this year, I definitely am. Let me know what you think. And then next year, I don't know. I do want to, I think, utilize Storygraph a bit more because they have like a book club feature on there. And if you've never done a buddy read on Storygraph, it's actually really great. You can like make comments and it will lock it for the other people so they won't get spoiled until they've reached that part of the book. So I would like to do like live discussions with people on Storygraph, like while we're reading. And then at the end of the month, I will do a video like this one. I don't know, too much rambling. I need to get this video filmed. I was going to film it yesterday and then I got bitten by a spider and I was... anxious girly that I am, started panicking that it was a deadly spider. I don't think it was because it's been a day and I'm still alive. So I'm going to film it now before I lose my nerve. So I'm going to talk about 2 of the book club books from this year in this video, and then I will have videos coming out with the rest of the books of the year. I'm sorry if you liked the live shows, but honestly, I just felt like it was hard to coordinate with a toddler and then like people are in different time zones. And so not everyone could make it anyway. So people were watching the replay regardless. So I'm like, I may as well just do a video if people are going to watch the replay. Anyway, so I do have a presentation for the 2 books that I'm going to be talking about today, like I would in my live shows. I'm still going to do a presentation. So for this one, we are going to be talking about 2 books, Outdrawn by Deanna Gray and Woke Up Like This by Amy Lee. I do have a themed outfit on, which I'll show you in a moment. Was trying to do like themes for each of the lives. I don't know. It's kind of hard to keep up with that. So anyway, let's just get into the discussion. So let's start out with Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. This one is a sapphic romance, indie published, so it was on Kindle Unlimited. You know I love my sapphic books, so I was really excited to get to this one. Also the cover, like the pink and the green, like this is literally one of my favorite covers of books that I've read this year. Just the art style is so cute. These 2 women look so cute on the cover, and like the pink outfit with the like off the shoulder and pink and the green, like that is like my favorite color combo, pink and green. So here we have my mood board for the book. Again, if you haven't watched any of my lives, I've been trying to do a mood board for each of the books while I discuss it. So let me give you the synopsis. We are basically following these 2 women. It's meant to be a rivals to lovers type romance. So the 2 of them knew each other back in like college, I think it was. And yeah, they had a bit of a rivalry going on. And then they are now working together for this like company doing this web comic. They are both artists. So now they're going to have to work together for the web comic, and obviously they are going to fall in love. I'm going to make this review of this one quick because I thought I was going to love this and I didn't end up loving it. The time I was reading this was also when things were starting to go downhill for me in my life, so that may have been a contributing factor. I definitely didn't hate this book at all. I thought it was just fine, but that's why I don't want to talk about it too long because it's not really fun to talk about just fine books. The thing that I realized about this book that I wasn't realizing at the time, but I have since reflected on that. I know some people really love 2 POV books and they hate to just be reading a romance book from just one point of view, and I have realized with this one I feel like I would have preferred it more if we were just following the one point of view, because I've read a different sapphic book since then and it only did one point of view And I just feel like this book would have benefited from just following one of the women, just because the two women were so similar. They both had like family stuff going on. They both were artists working in the same job. And so I feel like I was just kind of like getting them mixed up a little bit. And that other book I was talking about that I read that only had one point of view, I feel like the women in that book were so similar. They were both doing really, really similar things in their life, and they both had really, really similar family situations. So I feel like only following one of the women, I don't know, I just liked it more. But I know not everyone likes one point of view. So I don't know. This one, I just feel like I kept getting the women mixed up. I think it was because they're both working the same job. I feel like two point of views, if the characters are different, like if it's like a grumpy sunshine and like, or one's a cowboy, one's a city girl, like sort of thing. I feel like it works in those situations when the characters are so different and distinguishable from each other. But it also might have just been me not paying as much attention because I was going through a rough time. But either way, I would still recommend this book because I did enjoy it. Like, it didn't do anything bad. Nothing was, like, I have no complaints. I just, personally for me, I don't know, I didn't find it as memorable as some other books that I've read. But I don't know, let me know if you've read this one and what you thought of it. Also, by the way, this particular book club video is not going to be filled with spoilers, simply because both books are like romance books and there's not really much to spoil anyway. So if you haven't read them, you can still watch. I do also always do a fan casting, and this one, the fan cast is brought to you by my friend Sasha. When she was reading the book, was messaging me through her fan cast, and I was like, perfect, I saved them and added them to my presentation, and we have two beautiful actresses. Again, I always struggle with the fan cast, and I'm going to switch it up next book club video. I'm switching it up. So I have a really fun idea to do my fan cast from now on, because I have a lot of trouble. I don't really watch movies and TV, and I don't follow like celebrities, so I never know celebrities to add to the fan cast. Like, each month I struggle to find people, so I have a solution for next month. But for this month, Sasha has helped us out. I did Google these actresses, and yeah, they've been in a lot of things that I have never seen besides the Bratz movie. I have seen that back in the day, and I think it was Logan that was in that one. I can't remember now, but I did Google to see what they were in. I don't really remember that movie, but I watched it when I was a teenager. I mean, they've been in popular things, I just haven't watched them. Obviously both stunning women, and I can definitely see them as being the two women in this book. So that pretty much wraps up the first book, Outdrawn. Again, let me know what you think. If you did read it, I think I'm gonna give it like, I don't know, a 3, perhaps even a 3.5. Yeah, I don't know, it didn't do anything wrong, it's just not memorable for me, so I don't know. Moving on to the second book, if it wants to load, Woke Up Like This by Amy Lee. This one I picked because I turned 30 in July when we were supposed to read this. I turned 30, and this book is about a character who falls and wakes up and is all of a sudden 30. Which I feel like I all of a sudden woke up and I was 30. Which brings me to my themed outfit for today. Okay, when I stand back here, it's going to be blurry because my camera doesn't autofocus, but that's probably better. I have a 13 going on 30 themed dress because obviously the book sounds like the movie 13 going on 30, and it definitely gave those vibes. So if you like the movie 13 going on 30, which, fun fact, the movie is called Suddenly 30 in Australia. They changed the title because apparently they thought it wouldn't make sense to us. I don't know. If you like that movie, then I think you would like this book. So let me give you my mood board and the synopsis. And yes, I've added some clips from the movie into the mood board. And there we have, the picture of the classic, iconic dress from the movie. Synopsis. Like I said, we're following a main character who, she is 17. She is setting up for prom with her kind of like school rival. And she's climbing up a ladder to put these decorations up, and she falls on top of him, and obviously they fall, hit their heads, and then they open their eyes, and all of a sudden they are waking up in bed as 30-year-olds, being like, what the heck, a second ago we were 17 setting up for prom, now we're 30-year-olds, we're apparently married even though they were enemies, I guess. I don't want to call it enemies because I feel like enemies to lovers is like a fantasy thing, but yeah, they woke up and apparently they're married even though they were not friends in high school, and they're basically figuring out, 1, what the heck happened, how they ended up in the future, and 2, how the heck they came to be married, and how to get back to present day at prom. So this one, is technically a young adult book, which I don't read anymore. But when this book was first coming out, I did see people reviewing it saying it is a young adult book, but one that can be enjoyed by adults. Like, it didn't feel too young adult, which I completely agree with, because we are following technically 17-year-olds, but in 30-year-olds' bodies, doing 30-year-olds things, trying to get back to the past, if that makes sense. So I feel like for that reason, I would really recommend it to people in that middle point where they're, I guess, going from young adult and trying to transition into adult books, because it has obviously the simple young adult writing. It is a young adult romance, so there's no spice. But I feel like it transitions you into that adult book genre. And yeah, I'm so happy to say about this book that I loved it. I loved it so much. I've never seen anyone talk about this book. I literally just picked it because I saw it in like the Amazon first reads when it first came out last year. So I've had it sitting on my Kindle all that time, and I loved this so much. I am giving it 5 stars. It is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I am going to probably consider Amy Lee one of my favorite authors now. I read one book from her, I think last year or the year before, and I didn't love it. I loved most of it, and then towards the end, the main character started to annoy me, so that's what turned me off it. It wasn't anything to do with the writing or anything. It was just the character. I just got over the character, and I was like, I don't like this book anymore. And then at the beginning of this year, I read one of her other adult romances, and I really enjoyed it, but it was more spicy than I probably prefer in a book. So when I read this one, and it's young adult, so there's no spice, and I just loved it so much, I was like, oh my god, is this a new favorite author? So yeah, I would highly recommend this to anyone who is interested in like a book with like a time travel aspect. If, I don't know, perhaps if you usually read adult books, but maybe you don't prefer like the adult spice that comes in adult romance books, then I would recommend this to you. Or like I said, if you're transitioning between young adult and adult books, this is like a great midway point. Yeah, I loved the time travel aspect. I thought the romance was so cute, and you know me, romance books, it's hard for me to enjoy a romance book because half the time I just don't care about the characters getting together. But I thought both characters were so cute together, and I was like actually rooting for them. I thought the male main character was really cute and sweet, which that never happens to me. And that's about all I can say about this one. I just really loved it. Oh, besides, okay, the end is where I started to be like, okay, I'm starting to get like a little less excited about the ending, because again, it's a young adult book, and there was a lot of prom stuff happening at the end, and even when I read young adult, I didn't like books that revolved around prom, because we don't even have prom in Australia. Like, we do have like a formal event at the end of our schooling, but it's not the same as American proms. So I don't like proms in general, but I definitely don't like to read about proms as a 30-year-old. So yeah, the ending chapters did kind of lose me a little. However, I can't blame the book for that, because that's not the book's fault. Like, this is for a young adult audience. So even though the ending was kind of like, I felt like I was slowing down at the ending. Other than that, I flew through this book and I loved it so much. And yeah, I'm really glad I picked it. Let me know if anyone happened to read this for the book club. And if you didn't and you're just watching this, then you should read it. Anyway, let's get on to my fan cast for this one, because it's really silly. So firstly, for our female lead, who I haven't even been saying names in this book, I think her name was Charlotte. Yeah, her name was Charlotte Wu. And then the male love interest was JT Renner. So for Charlotte, I have cast the lovely Lana Condor from To All the Boys I Loved Before, which Charlotte in the book is Asian. I'm pretty sure Chinese, which Lana Condor is not, I don't think. However, there is a reason I've cast this particular character, and it is so odd. You know, I always have an odd reason for doing a fan cast. And like I said, I do have trouble with celebrities, but randomly I got this Tinder ad, which, if you know me, like, I'm not the target audience for Tinder anymore, I don't think. But I got this Tinder ad that Lana Condor was in, and I don't know if I can insert it or if I'm going to get like a copyright strike, but she's like climbing up this ladder to reach a book on a bookshelf, and she falls, and then a guy like catches her in the Tinder ad. And it just reminded me of the whole premise of this book. The main character climbing up the ladder and then falling off the ladder and landing on a guy. In the ad, the guy catches her, and in the book, they just crash into each other. But I was like, oh my God, perfect. And obviously also Lana Condor has been in another iconic young adult book to movie adaptation. So if this were to be adapted, then that is my pick for the role, simply due to that Tinder ad. And then again, I have a really silly, goofy reason for the male lead in this book. And that is because this person has also been in a time travel rom-com. But my male lead I have Zac Efron, simply because he was in the iconic movie 17 again. That was like a reverse time travel moment. But because he has been in a time traveling teen movie, I am placing him in my fan cast for this time traveling teen movie. Although I will say he does look a lot different to this picture now, recent pictures I've seen of him. But anyway, that is my fan cast. And that also brings me to the end of today's PowerPoint presentation for 2 book club reads that I'm very behind on. I'm so sorry. I'm so hopeless. But I feel like if I do them not as lives anymore, if I just pre-record things and then upload it, then perhaps I'll be a bit better about getting things out in a timely manner. But everyone should sign up for Storygraph, because if you want to read along with me in future, I just feel like Storygraph is going to be so much fun to do that, because you can do like little updates live with each other and no one gets spoiled because it will lock it so you can't physically see the update until you have reached that part in the book. But yes, I am going to, maybe even right after this, film my next book club video. I don't know. This presentation isn't as good as I think the next one, so stay tuned for the August one, which was for the book Done and Dusted. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here and sticking around, even though I have been depressed and absent. But I will see you in another video, perhaps tomorrow. Who knows?